You've got the instruction. Now all we're asking for is 22 committed and disciplined players who are going to go out there and play with the type of passion that's going to get us the result we're after. It's all we require. So when you walk down that race, look each other in the eye and make sure you require that passion from one another. And as I said, we'll get the result we're after.
In Darren Crocker's last game as coach of North Melbourne, we'll be hearing the inside word. He's mic'd up, and through the night we will be taking little bits and pieces of the messages that he relays, the words that he utters. We'll be hearing them on delay. We won't be taking on the unpredictability of the words that come out of a coach's mouth live to air. You never know what that might involve, but obviously he wants a big finish from the Kangaroos. It's important to him, although he doesn't give the impression of a man who is overcome with sentiment, having been given a brief time at the helm of his football club. Kangaroos and Port Adelaide. It's been a wet day in the city of churches, but things have improved late in the piece. Corey Wingard, how is it down at ground level?
Yeah, Tim, the elements are going to play a big part tonight. 14 mils of rain have fallen today. It's currently 12 degrees. It's going to get down to 8. They are expecting a shower or two more, and I know you boys hope it's 3 or 4 so that I get nice and wet. I can tell you down here the breeze is quite swirly as well. The flags are blowing across the ground, but at ground level it is quite swirly, so keep an eye out for that. And as we said, quite squelchy underfoot here, so the ball will skid through as it does at Amy Stadium.
Well, it's a dead rubber, but we're going to accentuate the positives here at Amy Stadium, aren't we, Hutto? And what would you say about the crowd? It's building.
It's building, Tim, in the famous commentary parlance. It's certainly building. It's not a great night for watching footy, but as Corey said, the rain's staying away just for the moment. Luke Darcy, are you expecting North Melbourne to be able to repeat their effort of last week?
Well, I'm not sure they can recapture that same brilliant form against St Kilda when they travel into state. A young side, it's always a difficult challenge to come here to Amy Stadium. I'm really rapt to see Drew Petrie in the forward line. He was so good last week against St Kilda. Love the way he plays. And I'd love to see him a permanent fixture in the North Melbourne forward line. Plenty to watch tonight. A lot of players playing really for their careers. When you've had a disappointing season, that's on the line here tonight. And Brad Scott, the new North Melbourne coach, I believe he's here at Amy Stadium. He'll be keeping a close eye on proceedings.
So we're underway on Saturday night footy. Brendan Lade, his last opening centre bounce is one, but it went straight down to Greenwood, who's been something of a revelation for North Melbourne. I'm looking forward to seeing whether he's going to go to Pearce or to Sean Burgoyne tonight, because he's shut, and it looks as if he's going to go to Sean Burgoyne. He certainly shut Nick Del Santo out of the picture last week. Swallow was also a revelation. He was brilliant last week for North Melbourne. Chaplin comes off the line. Can't quite get a handle on, as Corey said, the conditions difficult to master tonight, and the umpires pluck one out, and it's going to Josh Gibson, who's starting fairly forward up the ground. Corns with a decisive knock on Josh Smith, down to his brother. And Swallow's going to have Cassisi for company. It would be hard to have not watched last week's game, Luke, and not think they had to put a fair bit of attention into Swallow. He was magnificent in the clearance situation particularly.
Exciting player for North Melbourne, Andrew Swallow, and I think we're going to see a lot of tackling and a lot of secondary ball-ups tonight. Very slippery conditions.
Port look to have this loose ball covered, but a hard one for Boak to collect. Surgeon there to help. Not easy for him either. It's not going to be easy for anyone tonight. Peter Burgoyne went lurching forward. No sympathy or sentiment from the umpire in his last game. There's an out on the full, and it is North's free kick, and it will be Gibson who's playing up the ground. He collected one just forward of the centre. Now he's got it at the 50, and he has a chance to put it into a dangerous spot. Perhaps not the best placement, and Cracker has it covered. He needs the line. He nearly found it. They have taken it over. Carlisle getting it across the line, and these days you're allowed to do it, and Cracker takes the kick in.
And Port carrying it out of defence from Corns to Peter Burgoyne. Ill-directed kick. Hansen, even though he had no real pressure, unable to take it. Again, emphasising how difficult it is to handle. Harvey improvised. Rawlings back to Hansen. Well done that time. Worked it through Harvey. This is Liam Anthony in the puddle out there at half forward. What an impressive start he's made as well. Was all set to go way back at the start of the year until injury delayed his debut, but he's been impressive, averaging 25 disposals. And speaking of impressive, Drew Petrie, he was the other match winner for them last week.
Fantastic hands from Drew Petrie, carrying on his form now. A little bit of now let's hope that missed, but good to see him. Final game will mean nothing for him or his career going forward, but he's keen. He's in good form with a wet, slippery ball. They were brilliant hands to start the night.
Goalless in 4 of 5 interstate games in 2009, but 24-19 for the season. It's coming back. He has read the wind absolutely magnificently. North Melbourne starts with a goal.
Not an easy thing to do, to get the ball going left to right. Most players will have the natural draw on the footy, golf parlance. So I like you gave him the benefit of doubt that he actually meant to do it. We'll get a chance to see it again.
You don't think he did?
Well, I've got to take another look at it. So he's yeah, he's hit it nicely. Perhaps, yeah, you're right. Hit it as well as you could, put it at the right spot in the ground, and it just came back beautifully. So good mark, good goal.
That man was Dux of the class at the Malcolm Blight School of Amy Stadium wind reading. And he's shown why with a beautiful goal. He's 25th of the season, and that has him a clear leader on the club goal kicking tally at Arden Street. It's going to be a low score for the winner this year. Sean Burgoyne puts Port into attack. Rawlings at the back covers for the Kangaroos. Puts it in front of Thompson. Clean collect. It won't always be thus. Just blazed, and Burgoyne, Sean, has it covered, but he's well harassed by Campbell, and the Kangaroos look on to a greater extent than their opponents. Now Greenwood, though, has taken it over just before getting it onto his boot, so it'll come back for a throw in, but they look the sharper team early.
They do, Tim, and I think the North Melbourne defence, Levi Greenwood just lost his awareness there for a minute, stepped out of bounds. He had a bit more time and space than that, but the North defence is underrated. They concede a lot of inside 50s, but Scotty Thompson, Brady Rawlings and company back there do a very consistent job.
Now North through Garlett initially, and then Gibson. Advance, well, slowly advance. Petrie in amongst it again. Chaplin adapted well. Cassisi trying to do likewise, finding it tough. McMahon's another comer for North. High ball off the left. Campbell outsized hopelessly there, but it was more than likely always going to end on the deck. Cassisi, and out of bounds. I might talk to Corey about Levi Greenwood. You were telling us beforehand that there was some that were thinking Port perhaps should have picked him up, Corey.
Yeah, a big favourite. Played with the Port Magpies here in South Australia. Very, very hard at it. In a Glenn Archer type mould. Really the true Port Adelaide tradition in person.
Swallow, no room to move. Mentioned how good he was last week with the clearances. Well, tonight he's not getting much room at all. 33 disposals, 8 tackles last week for Andrew Swallow. Just 21 years of age. Lade and McIntosh doing their thing again. Brent Harvey pops up to take the mark and looks for an avenue in for North. Petrie about 48. Edwards comes, and that was the intended target. Little Adams maybe drew some high contact.
He's on the ground going the ball.
You'd suspect there'll be a bit of that tonight with the conditions. And he looks okay as well, Lee Adams.
Drew a pretty soft free kick at first glance there. Kane Corns will have a look at the replay. So slid in, but he's, yeah, I suppose a bit of contact over the shoulder, but not an enormous amount in it. Put your head down over the footy, you get rewarded.
Sometimes you do. Adams from outside 50. You can see the contact was not as he desired, but I think goals are going to be fairly scarce tonight. North have been doing the only scoring so far.
Genuine one-on-one contest so far. We haven't got numbers back. We've got a few matchups that have been designated by the coaches, but apart from that, it's going to be a fairly open game.
Lovely work by Lade down to Boak, who just fumbled for a moment and it cost him. Brendan Lade in this last season, now in his very last game, has not missed a match this year. One of only 3 Port Adelaide players to make it through all 22. He is a thoroughly admirable footballer and has been from go to woe. There'll be a ball up close to North Melbourne's goal again.
Just personally look at Brendan Lade as an athlete. He's not a great runner. He's not fast. He's actually not overly tall, only 6'5" or thereabouts in the old, but he's so smart in this situation. He uses his body better than anyone I played against. And there he is again, deft touch. He has done that for well over 12 years now.
Giving Gray the breakaway, but it's a shocking kick. And McMahon's able to circumvent and deliver to Ferrito. 70 out. All North at the moment.
They're dominating, aren't they?
Edwards, oh, what a tremendously athletic mark. He really looks to have some very good footballing qualities. And he showed his skill there. That was pretty much a standing start.
That is a brilliant grab. Wedge footy again. You've got surface water here at AAMI Stadium. It's one of the best grounds in the country, so that you know the amount of rain that there's actually water still about. So to take a clean grab like that, magnificent.
Just 13 goals for the year, and he's not going to add to that there, although he read the breeze pretty well, but he didn't get any penetration. And Chad Corns was in the way. And gives it off to Pearce, who delivers around the flank, and Port are out of trouble, but it mightn't be for long because that has sailed out on the full, and the errors are flowing. That one coming from Davenport.
We're going to hear from Darren Crocker shortly, but let's concentrate on Brett Harvey as he heads to half forward. Tough one for Ferrito. Here's Petrie. Nothing doing there, you would think.
Go out and tell Drew Petrie that the guy who gets Stewart, he keeps going to the spare. Okay, so whenever they try and create a spare, right, that the guy who has Stewart keeps going to their spare.
Gets you to help interpret that for us, Darst, in a moment, as Brogan wins the free from half back. Great insight there from Darren Crocker, though. We'll try and work out the tactics as the night goes on. From Corns to Corns to half forward. Anthony waits at the back. It doesn't get there.
What Darren Crocker was saying there, Hutto, was that Port had a spare back. Now he's saying whoever the forward is that's got Paul Stewart as an opponent, I want him to be the one to go and pick up their spare. And we want to try and keep Drew Petrie, by the sounds of it. He's their man that we want to go to one-on-one. So we don't want him creating a two-on-one. We want to try and get him the footy in that one-on-one situation.
Boak prizing it out in a tug of war. Did pretty well. Now Broadbent. Again, Port going very wide, but this time coming out of it with a free kick, which the crowd feels was a little overdue, and it'll be Pearce to take it. McMahon stands him. Rawlings had picked him up when he was standing forward a little while ago. He kicks long and gives them a bit of a chance. Davenport got it onto his boot, but it was an almost impossible shot. It's a miss. Port's first score is a minor.
Now we understand that Drew Petrie may have been reported, so we'll keep you updated on that. Harvey brings North at least out of the defensive 50, but I can't say out of trouble because they've turned it over, and Corns and Boat collaborating well. Back to goal, which made it a little bit tricky. Back for Thomas, who lets fly. But no real traction there. It's away to the right. Another look at Drew Petrie and his little tangle.
A bit of the angry pills on tonight, yeah. Drew Petrie. It's the second or third time he's been upset. Carlisle's got under his skin and bring it in.
So Thompson brings it back. Long swirling ball in this wind. Rawlings in hard, collected cleanly, was good work. Lower, but not taken cleanly by Goldstein. So a throw in. Port just starting to make a mark and give the impression that they might be about to trouble the scorer in some substantial way. Brogan and Goldstein, the Port man, won it and got the kick away, but not very far. Rawlings getting it off, but Hansen brought down.
Over Port's history, particularly with Brendan Lay, we've got Brogan in the ruck at the moment. Just take a look at that tackle from Davenport. They've been really good in the clearance situation in this part of the ground. They've got a great system. They always hit it to the defensive side of the pack. Bit harder tonight with the wet conditions, though.
Gale on the bottom of all that, and he's drawn another free kick.
Too clumsy, took him too high.
Yeah, bad approach by Lindsay Thomas. Just
Wasn't
came in.
smart, was it, Tim? He didn't need to do it. Umpire was right there. Free kick.
This is Matthew Broadbent in his third match. Throws it up to the top of the square. Opts with the spoil. Gray being one of their more impressive players for the year. Bit of a standoff. Slips around and sets it up for Lade. And McMahon outsides there. And he's given away the free.
Chopping the arms has been played, and you can see the reaction. Not happy at all about that. But this is why Brendan Lade, I know it's his final game, and we're going to speak a lot about him tonight, but he was always a dangerous opponent because he could push forward, use his body really cleverly there, jumped early knowing that he could maybe draw a free kick, capable of kicking a goal.
I talked about the extra height North had, the extra number of big men. Luke, I'll get back to it in a moment, but there was a bit of a mismatch there in height with Obst versus young Gray, Robbie Gray. Here's the kick for Lade. What a sentiment about tonight for him. And he puts Port in front.
Tim mentioned before that Brendan Lade has played every game in his final season, which is great resilience. He missed 2 full years with broken legs. Really admire him, really love the way he's played the game. He's a laconic sort of bloke, but he's really smart and he understands the game. He's got great skill, and good to see him still kicking goals in his last game. This is actually pretty clever use of your body. You can see Lade just taking the space there and drawing the free kick. So he jumps slightly early, put his body across, and chopping in the arm was paid.
And from that angle, you could see that there was a free kick there. You could argue about it, but it wasn't a bad decision. Kangaroos deep forward, lower. Spillage gives Campbell a chance. Chaplin closing. Campbell a bit quick for him. Kangaroos dangerous again. Goldstein arriving in the big man, but he's well smothered, and the ricochet is forced through. It was Stewart who got a hand onto the ball off Goldstein's boot. So it's a behind to the Kangaroos and scores a level.
Again, I love to see a young ruckman, Goldstein, pushing forward, trying to score, not just hanging back, trying to get a cheap kick. Go and try and kick a goal.
Peter Burgoyne to Thomas. Spearing kick to the wing. Got through to Ebert. Got a reprieve tonight. Coming in as the late change. There's a free to North out of all that, I reckon. Ferrito tries to sneak away, but it's coming back to Scotty Thompson. There we go, short up the line. Kane Corns is going to be watching Brent Harvey. Is watching Brent Harvey. Here's the strong lead. Good presentation from Josh Smith, who we'll hear Darren Crocker talk about in a moment, number 18 for North. Let's watch the play. Greenwood fends off for Burgoyne. Maybe got a little bit too adventurous, but he kept it alive. Inserts them, and Smith and Corns. Oh, he's paid the mark. I thought maybe it was high contact, but let's have a listen.
Yeah, mate. Get out to Oscar. Chad Corns has just run off him. He's run off twice now. Just got handball receives.
Got 5, Chad Corns.
Don't allow him to do that. You've got to work to get goal side.
So Oscar being Josh Smith. And let's see how the shot for goal goes. From just 35. The best way to hurt Chad Corns would have been to hurt him on the scoreboard, obviously, and he just couldn't do that. And he's a man who hasn't yet been able to kick a goal at AFL senior level, Josh Smith. 6 games, his 7th game. He's now kicked 5 behinds. He's looked good. He's taken some marks. He's averaged about 11 disposals. He just can't kick a goal.
Big Oscar Smith. That's great access, isn't it, to hear Darren Crocker saying you're playing on a player who's going to pay you no respect, get in a dangerous position. He does, and he has a shot at goal.
Cracker handling the kick-in duties, and Port Adelaide winning it away well. Broadbent kicking to midfield. Free kick to the Kangaroos, and Obst will take it. And an opportunity presents immediately as Thomas hits up towards the centre line. Petrie dangerous at ground level, try to feed to Edwards. Chopped off by Stewart to Cracker. Kane Corns cool in the traffic. And now Stewart to Chad Corns. Oh, and that's a bad kick to his brother, overshooting the mark. And it'll give North another crack at it from the throw-in.
We should say, too, that we really appreciate Darren Crocker and the access, and also his sponsor, the Aspen Group, who have helped make tonight possible. So very much looking forward to getting more of Darren Crocker for you as the game progresses. This is Ed Lower from the corner at AAMI Stadium. Never easy. Sets it up. Nathan Cracker attacking the footy. Here's Greenwood versus Sean Burgoyne. Just shovels him out of the road. And Sean Burgoyne then runs into massive trouble. Campbell was explosive last week. Different terrain tonight. He almost produced a goal. He still might. Swallow, I think, no, that's certainly not going to be a goal. Hung a long time in the air for Chaplin. So much going on right on that very last line. Hartlett takes it away. Oh, Brogan didn't have great awareness about him, but moved it on to Jason Davenport, who darts and kicks to a one-on-one on the wing. The punch away from Salter. And it's gone with the pressure there on Kane Corns. North's way. Again, they just fall down in front of goal. And we're going to have a throw-in with the scores very tight. It's North by 1 point.
Young Matthew Broadbent, young man in his first season with Port Adelaide, started the game really well tonight. He's composed a couple of times in difficult situations.
North giving themselves many more scoring opportunities. 10-4 the entries.
As you
saw, Broadbent again, and just panicked a little bit. More experienced player might have just been able to find a way there of keeping it alive and provide the exit. So still it remains on North's half-forward line, but they've only been able to kick the one goal. Brogan tempted to take that out of the air and then realised the danger. Cassisi in there working. Has way more hardball gets than any of his teammates at Port Adelaide.
Let's hear some more from Darren Crocker. This time talking about Liam Anthony.
Get out to Liam Anthony and say that I looked out and he was the only player that didn't have a man right at that kicking. Man on man. Got to work harder.
Interesting, North going the man-on-man tactic from the kick out. And when you do that, you certainly know a player doesn't pick up his man. So Liam Anthony in the gun there.
Had his teeth gritted like a man who had just been given some unpleasant tidings. Salter for Port Adelaide. Hartlett working it to Westhoff and did well there just to keep that inside for Boak, who ploughed it on. Hanson covers, Pearce with him, harassing. Gray just bumping it forward. Hartlett arriving, clever. Pearce the chance for a moment, Gray too. But the North defence manages to stop the tide and force a ball up.
One-on-one contest there. It was Hamish Hartlett. It was Gibson coming the other way. Here's a look at it. Hartlett got in low, so did Gibson. Well done.
Lade. Kane Corns. Good pressure on Salter, applied by Obst. Well, everyone caught in the crush there. Salter's on top of it, but how the umpire's supposed to determine what's going on there, I don't know.
Just keep an eye on Brendan Lade. And he has been a specialist at this, combining with Sean Burgoyne. He has set up more goals than anyone else in the game playing this. He gives away a free kick as we try and pump him up and look for not happy about it as well. But
even this year, though, look, Port Adelaide's clearance work has been as good as anyone in the competition.
Offensively, they score really well, but they've also been scored against the other way. But Lade's one to watch. He's been so good at it for such a long time.
Grimer tried to clear it, but Nathan Cracker with other ideas. Up to take the mark. He's another one who's progressed this year for Port. Scott Thompson paid the free or the mark. Playing in front.
Looking at the positives tonight, Hutto, we are. This man is a positive for North Melbourne. He's annoying.
Yes.
He just upsets a few, but I think he's going to form a really strong part of North's defence going forward.
Well, Grimer's been another one for them, hasn't he? And they've tried Obst over the last couple of weeks, so they've got a bit of young, tall timber down there.
They have, and they seem to be combining well. They concede a lot of inside 50s. Brady Rawlings back there probably adds a lot of leadership, a lot of experience. Ferrito, we know, can play down there, so some positives.
Well read by Ferrito there. He got the jump on everyone else. Hangs it about 40 out. McIntosh's deep ball. Surgeon left it behind. Reverse rolls. Can Smith find a goal this time? it would be something to celebrate. Oh, it fell for Petrie. How about that for a gift? And boy, he did it well.
Petrie kicked one of the goals of the year from memory. Might have even been in round 1, where he virtually kicked it out of mid-air. It was an inside 50, and he did something similar, almost the old soccer bicycle kick over there. This isn't an easy thing to do, this. Take a look, there's the kick coming from Josh Smith, but we might get a look at that in a minute. Not that easy to kick it over your head straight through the middle.
What an inspiration he's become. Drew Petrie. He finds a way of getting the job done. That was the inverted Petrie for his second goal, the Kangaroos' second, and gives them a little break again, but perhaps not for long as Boak puts Port into the 50. Ebert, though, had bigger men against him. Mark paid, and that'll be 50 against Westhoff, who I think took a punt that the umpire might believe his story, that he hadn't realised a mark had been paid.
Well, there's the only one in South Australia that didn't realise it was a mark.
He delivers nicely to Anthony. Good weight on the kick, and that's pretty good too. And Lindsay Thomas has got it. 45 out. But kicking into some fluky wins, or across some fluky wins. It's a little hard to read them here. Corey, you're the man with the local knowledge. Is either side being distinctly favoured?
Now, the flags are going across the ground, fellas. That's why that Drew Petrie kick was so superb at the start of this match. He just read it beautifully. But pretty much across the ground, swirly at lower ground level.
Got to aim this left post, Tim.
Similar position to Petrie when he kicked that first goal. Could Lightning strike twice? Well, he started out on the right post. And he gets nothing for it. North lead by 7 points late in the quarter. And certainly they deserve their lead. They probably deserve a little more than that. Stewart kicks in and he delivers to Carlisle.
The stats show that both sides are working at about 50% disposal efficiency. Very difficult conditions, though, to play the modern possession game. Ebert marks. Davenport is deep waiting if it hits the back of the pack. Of course, no Daniel Motlop tonight. And young Salter, steadfast there, paid the mark.
And 50.
And 50 as well against Alan Hobst.
Nice, strong contested mark, Nick Salter.
And pops it through. Kicked 3 goals against Brisbane last week.
It's only his 5th game for the year, Nick Salter, so he's been given an opportunity late in the season.
That's his 9th goal for the year too, Dale, so there's nothing wrong with that. 6 shots on goal last week and 3 kicked through against Brisbane.
As part of that early onslaught, they dried up last week, scoring a bit more modest in the opening term this Saturday night on their home patch. Darren Crocker's last game as coach. Mark Williams, well, who knows what the future holds. There's been so much discussion. He says apparently the deal's been done. There have been reports in Melbourne this week questioning that. Brogan to take it. Free kick out of the middle for Port.
He's paid 50 here.
Gee, there's been a string of those all of a sudden.
Edwards was coming in then to replace the man on the mark who was going to push back the North ruckman, McIntosh. But in doing that, he just crept a metre over the mark. So have a look at it again. McIntosh pushed back, so Edwards coming up to take the mark. Well, I reckon the umpires, he's got to know what's going on there. That is ridiculously technical. Edwards was coming around the mark and he was always going to get to the right spot. That's just an over-officious umpire getting involved when he doesn't need to.
And it takes the former basketballer to the equivalent of the free throw line. 25 metres out, straight in front. Not a big goal kicker. Does the job here. Puts Port Adelaide in front.
Big penalty in our game, that, isn't it? 50 metres for something that is so technical. Had no impact on the outcome, what Edwards was doing there. He was trying to get around to get to the mark. So there he is, trying to get around. Where's my spot umpire? Okay, I'll get back there. Oh, no, you went 3.5 millimetres over the mark. That's worth a goal.
Well, it is limiting his freedom to kick sideways to the left.
Well, he's got to get to the mark, Tim. Has to get to the mark.
You're a bit fired up, Das.
Oh, I am a bit. I can't see how else he can get to that part of the mark. I mean, does he run to the wing and come back so he doesn't encroach for a millimetre? Has to get there somehow. Got to let that go.
Anthony, Ferrito, Cassisi's been wonderful so far. These conditions suit him. Peter Burgoyne sets it up, but the North defence saw it coming. Again, Scott Thompson doing great work. Probably the initial handball wasn't good, but he's made it all work out okay. McMahon has Garlett away as we head down to Corey Wingard.
Boys, Josh Gibson has spent a bit of time on the bench for the Kangaroos. He's got an injured left elbow. He's trying to work it and flex it, talking to the doctors. He's lining up to come back on, so he's keen to get back out there, but keep an eye on that left elbow.
So Goldstein, who's been another reasonably impressive young player for North Melbourne this year. Speaking of young talent, Boak eases that away to Hartlett into the middle of the ground. Carlisle running around it a little bit. Kicked a lovely long goal last week. That's not his best disposal. Cassisi might give him a second chance. Umpire deems it a throw, which was fairly strict interpretation, I would have thought, in these conditions. Here's Lindsay Thomas with the low spearing ball, but too much on it. Opens the door for Petrie. Matty Campbell. Adams will get there first. And didn't fancy his chances in that situation.
Another thing Brad Scott will be seeing as an instant area for improvement. Just wet, slippery ball. Hard to handle. If you can get Matt Campbell and Lindsay Thomas together week in, week out, they can really do some damage. They've been rarely out in the park week in, week out this year.
It's a lack of confidence about both teams' foot disposal in the windy, slippery conditions. Port Adelaide's ball, Brogan to Kane Corns. Still a chance for North. Greenwood running into a wall. Harvey, Rawlings, 45 out. Sprayed the kick. Out on the full. Free kick to Chad Corns. Disappointment for the two-time best and fairest Brady Rawlings. More from Darren Crocker as he talks about his interchanges.
Mate, no 50-metre penalties. There's just two 50-metre penalties, right? And goals are going to be a premium tonight.
So Davenport.
Big penalty in our game, Tim, isn't it? 50 metres.
You're going to campaign against it, Dust?
No, I just see on really technical issues like that, it is a huge price to pay an instant gimme goal for something that I don't think should have been paid.
You make these rules and then you bag the umpires for enforcing them.
Surgeon to half forward, hoping that Westhoff might get there. He got there, but so too did Obst.
Thought we're going to be positive tonight.
Gibson goes back in. Scooping on it, Pearce. It was an opportunity. Doesn't need much of a sniff to get the ball forward. Sean Burgoyne versus Garlett. Hanson has spent some time on Revolt last week. Thompson, little shake of the body. McMahon, a few nervous moments. And then a kick that wasn't all that well placed. Stewart had undying commitment to the footy. He was the one that wanted it more than anyone else. Rawlings along the line. Edwards' kick was overrun. Brogan kept it alive. Chaplin, we know he's got penetration. Gray versus 3.
Robbie Gray just decided, well, I can't get anywhere near it. I might as well just clean someone up on the way through for my own amusement.
So the margin is 5, Das?
Yeah, it's always going to be a tough night here. We've had a lot of rain, slippery conditions. North started really well out of the blocks. Drew Petrie, a strong grab. Edwards, a strong grab. Love listening to Darren Crocker. Fantastic for him to give us that access. Port by 5 points.
In the first week of the finals, which we're very much looking forward to, the stage is certainly set as it is here for the second quarter. And here's Corey with the latest from the boundary line.
Yeah, guys, Josh Gibson, he's got that elbow injury. He seems fine. He's back out there. Matt Campbell as well had his ankle re-strapped for the Kangaroos. So they're their concerns. That breeze again tricky, but it's blowing across the ground away from the members' stand.
Brogan came out very aggressively there. Surgeon was the kicker. Thompson trying to read it. Gray, ever dangerous. Burgoyne likewise. Cassisi's playing with great intent tonight. Corns' kick smothered. Good work from Greenwood to clear the path to allow Anthony and Gibson to get some clean footy, and in the end Greenwood got involved, but his kick not good at all. And Port Adelaide able to hold things up across half back. Corns eventually from Cassisi and Cracker, and then just not being clean. If it sits here, Garlett's a real chance. Was able to run around it, and he's drawn some high contact.
I think that will be one Chad Corns will like to erase from his memory as quickly as he can. He was just sort of idling back to the goal square. The forward pressure got him, and then he, out of frustration, came and gave away a free kick, and he, not a happy camper.
So Garlett to restore the North Melbourne lead. It's a tough pocket. He kicks very hard through the ball, but slightly astray. And the margin is now 4.
Cruz Garlett, have a look at Chad Corns come through now.
He's stiff, Corns, wasn't he?
I don't think he actually made contact in the end.
No, that was...
and if you duck, well, it's bad luck most of the time.
That is true, and the laws of the game do take that into account. Here's Boak. He puts it in front of Thomas, who just couldn't keep it in play.
I think Mark Williams has decided that... Let's have a listen to Darren Crocker.
Come up to a wing, and get Patch to go forward.
Just some changes there. Patch being Adams, funnily enough.
Hartlett for Port Adelaide, but same result. So another throw in just Port's side of the wing. You would have been in this situation, I dare say, on the odd occasion, Das, in your career, at the end of the season, last game, inconsequential, awful conditions. Is it hard to drive yourself on?
Look, it is when you're not really playing for anything. I think the pride factor comes in, and also the fact that you remind yourself, there's one from Sean Burgoyne. So there's actually been a couple of things here tonight. One from Petrie, one from Sean Burgoyne. You don't want to get yourself rubbed out for rounds 1 and 2 next year. So put that away, but you don't get to play the game for another 12 months. So you've got to come with that attitude, Tim. AFL games are a precious thing. Play your heart out every time you're out there representing the jumper, but that's easier said than done sometimes on a cold, wet night in Adelaide. Not a massive crowd, but...
Yeah, Rawlings was the aggressor in that one before, and then Burgoyne got pinged as the retaliator.
And the retaliation was a bit sterner than the first crack, wasn't it?
It was, but I think Rawlings played it for all it was worth too.
So Port battling to hold up again here. Chaplin forced backwards, and this is a repeat of what happened a moment ago. But the Corns brothers this time stem the tide, and Brogan gets down low to hold the mark.
But to make the point before, I think Mark Williams has decided Chad Corns' future now is across half-back. Days of just roaming around the midfield are gone. I think it's the right move. He's got to finish his career down back.
Good strong grab from McIntosh. Anthony made an unlikely error. Westhoff sees the initiative, gets it deep. Salter almost couldn't quite hang on. Obst for Gibson as they sorted around Harvey. Liam Anthony again. Nicely placed for Adams, who waited until Gibson came up from behind. Just away from the lunging Drew Petrie. And it's over and out again.
He works well as a forward, Drew Petrie. His work rate's always high. You need him to come with the footy like they did on that occasion. He just doesn't hesitate, goes straight at it.
He's been a spare parts man probably too often, hasn't he, Drew Petrie? Had to be, probably. But he seems to have settled as a key forward.
Well
and
played.
He breaks clear again and gives Edwards and Smith a huge opportunity. Corns not showing a lot of respect for Smith. Edwards with the dribbling kick, but again, no good. Adams now, oh, he's called that dangerous kick, which is probably fair enough, but I've certainly seen worse. Let's have another look. It was a fumble, wasn't it, initially, from Chaplin?
Might have got by had it occurred in midfield, I reckon. Chaplin takes the free. and delivers coolly to Hartlett. So no score in the early part of the second quarter. It's
Beautiful kick.
a grim struggle. Good kick, Hartlett to Kane Corns. Crowd warming up in the cool conditions. Back to Boak. Big possession earner for Port Adelaide this year. Gives to his skipper, Cassisi, but crowd getting quite agitated. There's not much to go forward to, and players are holding the ball up. Now there is, but Brogan can't quite hang on to the mark. Gibson to Anthony, and back to Thompson. Forward to Harvey, and a good move develops for the Kangaroos. Bad miss by Smith, but he had time. And he delivers to Garlett. Harvey kept on coming after, executing in midfield, but he's well wide.
Distinct difference between these two sides structure at the moment. When North Melbourne have the ball in the middle of the ground and half back, Petrie just runs at it. Doesn't matter if there's 4 people around. He says, I'll give you an option. At the other end, watch that kick in. It's safe getting to Carlisle. We've got Westhoff, who just doesn't want to present anywhere near as hard as Petrie is as the centre half forward for Port Adelaide.
They're not getting reward, though, for their effort. They've been inside 17 times to 12, and yet they trail. Pearce with one of those lovely, long, flowing stride kicks right to half forward. Peter Burgoyne in his final game, 7 disposals so far. Can't get on the end of it. Pearce just 3 disposals. He's been a man shut down too easily this year, Darcy. He's copped the tagger each week.
He's someone that's really disappointed me, Hutto. I think when you look back to the grand final they were in a couple of years ago, you thought this is an exciting player. You watch him develop, and he has stagnated his career since then. In fact, he's probably gone backwards, and he'll be someone that will get a bit of a rocket over pre-season. He has to work harder. He's got to be able to burn the tagger off. He's just got to get a bit more competitive nature and a bit more aggression into his game and try and burn the opponents that are going and sticking with him week in, week out.
Interestingly, he's clearly the #1 inside 50 man still for Port Adelaide, which I guess is one of the reasons he gets so much close attention, because he's so crucial. Nice mark taken by Hartlett. He is a real talent, and Port much cleaner inside 50, certainly shooting a goal.
Seen Hamish Hartlett have 2 kicks. One of them was in the back pocket, which was beautifully weighted. Now just an opportunity from just inside 50. Such an important skill. If you're a good kick, it's almost the most important part of the game now, and he's looks like a very good kick.
He was #4 draft pick late last year, and he showed his class there. Earns a breather. Gives Port Adelaide a 10-point lead. Free kick to Brogan. A high boot. Ebert sets himself from behind, and he read it beautifully, and he can go back and line them up. Unless someone does something silly and gives it up.
Warren Treadray, the late omission from this side. Have a look at the ruck free kick. Not sure there was much in that either. This is what Brett Ebert can do at his best. He's actually a very good player overhead. Under pressure this week, so he really needs a big game tonight.
Let's see what he can make of the shot. He's in that awkward territory. Just 25 for the year. That's his 26th. And Port are making a decisive break in the second quarter.
That's what you can see upside, isn't it, for Port Adelaide? At his best, he's a really hard matchup because you can play small forward, can be good front and centre, and he can take an overhead grab like that. And he's not a bad kick for goal.
Message out to Boomer, we need him defensive wing, right, at those at the centre bounces.
So Kane Corns causing some damage, and Crocker worried about it. There's Corns as desperate as ever. Boak sneaks in, gets it up, and they're away through Broadbent into the 50. 2 quick goals have really opened this game up. Thompson's been reliable as ever in defence. He has Adams away, but not much space for Adams. He rides the bump from Thomas, delivers to centre half forward, had 2 options to go for, went for Petrie, is reliable. Big arc and then long to full forward. Josh Smith, not quite at the back. Trying to get on the end of it was the big fella Goldstein. Corns to the line, that was quite smart. And the ball out of bounds.
Once again, Hutto, inside 50 set up, because Petrie just comes at the footy, sees the opportunity out of the square, doesn't hesitate, he goes at it, drop the mark, but it's what you want a forward to do, come at it every time the chance is there.
Campbell looking for the ball, or maybe even a free kick. Lots of their little scooting players tonight, North Melbourne, with Thomas and Campbell playing just their 10th game together for the year. There's also Garlett and Harvey as well, of course, and Lee Adams. So they've got some little smalls around North, and the ball's going to be on the ground a fair bit, as we've seen. The heat just turning up a bit on the Port defence here. Pearce are playing a really good, strong tackle. And another ball up. Crocker would be concerned by the fact that they've won the inside 50s, but find themselves 16 points in arrears.
North needing a goal, but Port really developing a taste for this battle now.
Getting beaten around the clearances convincingly. Port Adelaide 17, North Melbourne only 9. There you can see the leading disposal gatherers, Kane and Chad Corns.
Just on the right, Andrew Swallow and Travis Boker, a midfield match, and Boke's going to take the ball away here. His 9th disposal. Swallow's had 1, and Swallow's been a very good player for North this year. Big win to Port so far. Throw in Port's side of the wing.
Can't help but go back to them playing in the grand final 2 years ago. Westhoff burst onto the scene. Justin Westhoff, great player. Brett Ebert was one of the best small forwards in the game. Daniel Pearce was exciting, and as a club they have certainly stagnated.
Is Boke again getting his body over the ball? It just rolled away from him at the crucial moment, and he's gone for holding it. He was, I think, genuinely trying to collect and break, but the break of the ball as it rolled was to his disadvantage, and the interpretation can be harsh. Ferrito takes the free, but he gives it up to Westhoff opposite. The idea was good to Peter Burgoyne, the execution not so, and North are able to hold it up. Burgoyne worked it forward, but it rebounds, and Garlett goes cruising through the middle, but the kick is poor, and it's straight to Chaplin, and Port seem to have the answers at the moment. Kane Corns, Cracker, they're on the build again, and they are dangerous when they go forward. That is a lovely scything delivery to Gray, but an equally good spoil coming from Thompson, and there'll be a throw-in.
Good closing speed here, Scotty Thompson, and good technique. Didn't get his hands in the back, got a fist on it cleanly.
He's very versatile, isn't he? Goldstein back out to the wing. Cracker versus Thomas. I would have thought he'd done enough to be paid the mark there.
So versatile, he plays for 2 clubs, Scott Thompson.
Yes, that's right. Scott D. Thompson, of course, we're talking about for North Melbourne. There's Pearce at least getting it out. Garlett came through, but goes North's way. Rawlings heading towards the boundary line, and Goldstein gets the knees dirty, slides over the line, sees it safely out. Brent Harvey with 11 disposals, the only man into double figures for North. The Corns brothers, Cassisi and Boke, all with 10 or more for Port Adelaide. There's Kane Corns working it back for Davenport. Lower. Swallow, just his 2nd disposal after 33 last week. Cassisi's been magnificent tonight. She points for Chad Corns there, sets it up for Chaplin. They've got the engine moving here, but just a slight fumble allows North in. Garlett again, low ball inside 50. Room to move for all. Carlisle, just a clean touch was all that was required, and Nathan Cracker can bound away. They decide to go backwards, which the crowd voicing their disapproval. And Cracker kicks pretty much to a one-on-one in the middle.
Yes, that was a situation where you'd think quick movement forward would have been far more likely to get a result, but you never know. As Cassisi methodically Takes it to Salter. Still the proverbial kilometre from goal. Closer to the wing than he is to the half-forward line. And again, they decide to set up. And the captain makes the play. Can't see anything. He likes North back in numbers. Only 2 behind the centre. And they are only 5 or 10 metres so. Chaplin gives to Chad Corns, who decides enough's enough and pumps it in the west-off direction. Chance for Pearce. Couldn't extract. Salter to Thomas. Swinging kick out on the full. North's ball, the wind really howling through Amy Stadium at the moment.
The 3rd or 4th out of bounds on the full we've seen in that pocket. Saw Petrie kick that magnificent goal. So that breeze is just pushing the footy right down that side of the ground. So you've got to attack the other pocket that we're watching play in at the moment.
Garlett. Very deep in the back pocket. Goes as far as he can along the line. Chad Corns just cruising along. Yep, out of bounds will do. And we'll have another throw in. Lade and Goldstein take up their positions as the boundary umpire goes to work.
Just keep an eye on Brendan Lade here. He's been such a clever player in that part of the ground. He rarely gives away free kicks and so clever around the stoppages.
As it happened, Goldstein got the tap down to Garlett, and then Campbell. And Pearce has lifted his tackling rate in this quarter, his work rate.
And that's what he's got to do, Hunter, all the time, because no one can take that away from you, how hard you work defensively. It's not something a tagger can stop you from doing. It's not something that requires any luck. And he's got the speed, so brilliant to see him as one of the leading tacklers in the game. Use that speed week in, week out.
Huge numbers around the footy again from the stoppage. Thompson, and they find a way out. Rawlings just slammed it on the boot. More in hope than anything. Petrie is committed as ever. Cracker, sleight of hand. Chad Corns has gone down in the middle. Kane's got the footy on the bounce.
Great pick up.
Beautifully trapped by Salter. High one to the goal square. It's all North jumpers back there, although Goldstein just couldn't quite get a handle on where it was going to land. And so we'll have another throw in the pocket.
Was a good collect by Salter, but he just seemed to stop and admire his work for a moment. Port Adelaide pressing, gaining a grip here. Good ruck work laid to Peter Burgoyne, but was never going to be able to swing it around the corner. Probably doesn't have the flexibility of his youth. And again, it's out on the full in the Bermuda Triangle pocket. That's a dangerous little kick, but Garlett having a lot of the footy at the moment for North Melbourne.
Played against Port Adelaide over the years. You know that setup laid to Burgoyne. That one goes straight out of bounds on the full. That wind, you've got to work it out. It's blowing the footy that way out of bounds on the full a lot. You know it's going to happen a lot of the time, but you can't stop it.
The wind howling, and the kick was a howler. Now Cassisi. Warrior skipper. 8th disposal this quarter. 3 Kangaroos up together. Well, they were in unison. They were all reading from the same hymn book as they pounded it through for a behind. Let's hear Coach Darren Crocker on the Kangaroos, Lindsay Thomas.
There's a good teaching point for Lindsay there, Boris. You know how he was guarding the bloke this side, which was basically 2 possessions away. He should have been guarding the bloke 1 possession away.
Mark taken by Corns. So Darren Crocker, even though he's not going on as coach, still wanting to teach his players for the future. Not a very well-directed kick, but again, the big Kangaroo defence looking a little unwieldy under these conditions. Graham letting it slip with that drop mark, and Pearce not making the most of it. So a throw in. They all set up. Lade controlling the airwaves. Down to Sean Burgoyne. You've talked about it a lot. Burgoyne at his best would have nailed that for sure. So the margin is now up to 17. They're more than doubled them, but North might be away here if they can take this cleanly through the middle, which it looks as if they can through Gibson.
It's an aggressive play from the kick in, and let's see if they can hold it together. Petrie, what a robust player he is. And he gives Lindsay Thomas a bit of a chance out wide. Cracker closing, call from Edwards inside, and he's got it. But it's not home. He's on a difficult angle and he knows it. He opens it up. And so often the spontaneous snap is the better option. He kicks the goal.
The few clear passages of play that we've seen in the first half. It went from end to end. There was a fair bit going on behind the footy. Sean Burgoyne frustrated. Brother Peter was in there to lend a bit of support. Have a look at that, but end to end, and nice finish from Edwards.
Well, as Edwards was providing a great tonic with a goal for North, they were roughing each other up, Obst and Sean Burgoyne at the other end of the ground. And Peter Burgoyne, he doesn't have to worry about tomorrow, so he can get in and throw his weight around. But North are surging here. Look at this kick from Gibson. Holds up a fraction in the breeze. Otherwise, it might have been a monster goal. Carlisle overrunning it. North sensing a little bit of an opportunity here with 6.5 minutes on the clock. Not able to seize it on the first effort, but they're still very much in attack here. And in good position with some little bit of space, not a lot to work in here. Adams with the improvising tap over the back. Both getting busy with the handball. Kane Collins, both kept on coming. Little left foot kick, not so good. Westhoff, they all come off him, so it gives him time to have a look at what's on offer. Good hard work ahead from the young man in Matthew Broadbent. Back into the middle to Matt Thomas. Little handball off. Burgoyne again. Making it, giving everyone an opportunity, including Gray and Westhoff. Hansen just didn't quite hit his mate. And as a result, it's Port this time locking it in their 50. So North not able to capitalise on locking it in their forward zone. Let's see how Port go.
12 points in it. Significant in a low-scoring game. Grimer tunnelling the hand pass, not getting the result. Boak been a terrific worker for Port Adelaide. Couldn't get rid of the tackler. Plaudits with Boak from Daniel Pearce. Still inside the Port Adelaide 50. Brogan bringing it down. North defence looks to have it covered.
Free kick to Broadbent. I think Timmy got it half a shove in the back, but I think he paid holding on. He's been impressive tonight, Matthew Broadbent. First-year player from Woodville West Torrens in the SANFL. I think he was just grabbed without possession. It's going to be a tough kick with that breeze going left to right.
He has made a mark on the game so far. Just his third game. This is his 9th use of the ball. Oh, he's read that to a nicety, and he's kicked a goal.
Kicked it beautifully. 9 disposals, his first goal. Working hard around the contest. Definite free kick.
Cruzy. Yeah, well done, mate. Terrific start. You'll be one of the only players that was working for the kicker then, so keep going, mate. When you have a breather, and we'll get you going again.
10 disposals for Cruz Garlett, but the goal going Port Adelaide's way, and the young man Broadbent has had more score involvements than any other player on the ground. 4 so far, when goals are at such a premium. Great value for his side. Surgeon knows only one way. And like a bull at a gate, he's at it again. Back to the wing. Rawlings and Grimer. Grimer had it covered. Opens it up for Gibson. North need to respond. They've got 4.5 minutes to do it. Grimer clear, but not making it easy for Petrie. Swallow's got to give his side something. He gives a magnificent assist to Josh Smith. Surely advantage will be paid, or is the free the other way?
Well, one umpire's paid advantage.
Reporting in for striking. Reporting in for striking. They sorted out.
Let's see what the umpires have decided is. As you said, the goal's been awarded, hasn't it?
Still came across and hit him in the head.
So we know someone's been reported here.
Thanks, boys.
And yes, the goal
Can you
stands.
just jot those numbers down? 39.
Jot the numbers
So it
down.
might be.
Yeah, it was all clear.
It looks as though Swallows the strikee.
Yep.
By the look of that.
Is that a word?
It is now. And we might make some sense out of it.
Not that I ever question your use of the language.
yeah.
You're Chaplin.
That was an old-fashioned coat hanger from Troy Chaplin. Now, yeah, that's not great. That's high and it's indiscriminate. I don't think he actually intended to strike him in the face, but certainly did. And he'll have some issues next year, earlier in the season.
It almost became a mess with umpires coming from different angles. A whistle blew while play clearly was going to continue. Holding the ball and a free kick North Melbourne's way. So they're mounting a late charge here. As here's another angle on that. Well, he might argue that he went for the upper part of the body and it slipped up and found the head as the second point of contact. But I don't know whether he'll actually persuade the tribunal. Brogan, good effort getting back, taking a good mark.
The second angle was a bit kinder to Troy Chaplin. Looked a bit more like bicep rather than the fist to the head.
It does show, doesn't it, how the angles can make such a significant difference.
And here is the man himself, Chaplin.
Little shove there off the ball against Thompson on Ebert, who struggled again tonight. Darcy has kicked a goal, but coming in for just his third disposal.
So Port looking to hold its two-kick advantage, perhaps extend it. North just looking to cut into it and be pretty much on terms by half-time. So it's an important last 3.5 minutes here. It is an intense struggle. Brogan gives to Pearce, and that is a credit to both teams. The season's gone for them. Here's the big man laid, and he's within range. Oh, he played it on. He's got himself into strife, but he goes on. It won't have the run. McMahon gets back for North. They hold up. Gives to Anthony. He's got Grimer forward of him if he wants, but he sees a man further forward whom he prefers, and he delivers well. And Smith, who kicked that last goal after the reported incident, has the footy for North on the wing.
So he got his first goal in AFL footy and everyone was looking the other way. Josh Smith, but at least he's got it. Edwards to centre half forward. Garlett again. Try marking that. No one does. Boak was able to sneak in and team up with Cassisi. Corns. Now they're going again. Hartlett to centre half forward. Oh, Pearce just couldn't hang on. Sliding in on the old slippery slip. It was Rawlings, and he might pay the penalty because, yeah, he's...
See Brady Rawlings saying,
I didn't have it in the air.
Wasn't underneath me.
Goes to Broadbent, who just goes for territory. Ebert, Hansen needs his wits about him here. Another big appeal for holding the ball. This time denied. Here's Lade deciding to play on. Whoops.
Had he run over the mark? Maybe he slid over it.
It's a long way to fall, Darce, from that height, I suspect.
It is.
Just guessing, of course, as Petrie slaps it back inside the 50. Pearce has definitely looked better in this quarter. Surgeon. Carlisle, he was able to sneak forward last week for a goal. Kane Corns maybe within range. His 12th disposal for the quarter gives Gray the task of trying to find the goals.
That's your line.
So Matty Broadbent kicked the last goal for Port Adelaide from not too dissimilar a part of the ground. So Robbie Gray's worked hard. So
he's sucking it in, isn't he?
that's a smart thing to do because a lot of players rush, and why not take your full time? But 30 seconds. He's obviously blowing hard, so just settled himself.
He's kicked 30 goals through the season. No, it didn't help at all. But maybe almost conceding in the back. The umpire says behind conceded. North know there's 45 seconds left on the clock. We've seen them go coast to coast once tonight and produce a goal. Wouldn't it be handy if they could do it here, so close to the end of the half?
Do they risk it?
Got to take a chance in the last game of the year, Tim. Go straight down the middle.
Couldn't agree more, Das. Port trying to crowd it up. It's well marked by Edwards, though. Gives North a bit of a crack at it. They've got it out of the immediate danger zone. Gibson. Been good in a midfield role. So often he's had to take on tasks just really too big for a man of his limited height, playing in defence. Lindsay Thomas. Now, you haven't got long. Well, he gave a half-baked attempt at holding the ball over his head. I don't think he's terribly interested in advancing this with aggression, and they might just play for time now. Port Adelaide by 13 points as the first half reaches its end. As I said, an intense half of footy, not without some entertainment value despite the difficult conditions. Port by 2 goals and a bit.
Bit of niggle throughout the half as well. Sean Burgoyne has been frustrated. Petrie had a little bit of an incident off the ball. Darren Crocker's been great to give us those insights from the coach's box, but Port at 13 points at half-time is probably about where the game's at, Hutto.
So Port lead by 13. This, of course, is round 22. It's all over after tonight for Port and North, but we're going to take you on a journey right through September.
Now, of course, during that quarter, Darren Crocker, great to have his commentary on the airwaves there. Really some insightful stuff. I know the Port Adelaide coaching box have actually turned on to listen in. Perhaps he could be an assistant coach there. Probably other clubs having a listen for that reason as well. Let's have a hear what he had to say to the boys at half-time.
So we've got to make sure that we work for the kicker. So that's the biggest thing. We've got to, our work rate's got to be higher, like when we've actually got the ball in our hands. Really work for the kicker. Got to create some energy as well. All right, so kick yourself going. A bit of intensity, a bit of urgency. You know, even that one that came in high, just make it your own. Just go and make it your own. Like, don't worry about whoever else is around. Like, just get after it. And just employing it. Go. Just go and play. All right?
That's what they're doing as we start this third quarter with a free kick initially, but the ball goes very deep for Port Adelaide. Hanson under the pump. He just left a little window for Ebert, who would have snaffled that you fancy at his best, but just slightly down on confidence, and when that happens, maybe things don't go your way completely. Margin 14 now.
She had to turn a promising start to the quarter with a free kick before play began into almost a disaster. Grimer kicks long. Chad Corns had the read on it, brought it down to his brother. De Grey delayed, and Cassisi was under the pump when the hand pass came. And North are able to tighten up. Well played by Chad Corns.
Yeah, spoil from Chad Corns was great, but I don't know why the delay on the handball. I think if you had given the first reflex one block with intensity, you probably would have created a little bit more space for Cassisi.
Port still dangerous. 13-point leaders as we enter the second half. Brent Harvey, Peter Burgoyne. That's out on the full, so North will get it free. It was ambitious having the kick from there, but he'd be asking himself, what can a bloke do? If he didn't do something with it, chances are he'd be pinged. He's been pinged anyway. Campbell to take the free for North.
Right in that back pocket. He just goes for distance and for Drew Petrie. Chaplin worked his way to the front, but Petrie was there when the moment mattered. The Corns brothers again combining, and then he kept on coming, did Chad, just to remind Andrew Swallow that you're having a tough night. The ball meantime is with Josh Smith as Port get numbers back. He enterprising kick right across the ground, plenty of distance, opened it up, means they can bring it in from the other angle. Adams runs onto it. He's got Petrie on his own in the pocket, and Petrie takes it. Smart play, North Melbourne.
Just watch Drew Petrie's work right there. He was up right at a half back, and then he pushed into the corridor. It looks like he lumbers a bit, but you can't underestimate how hard he works, and he just burned off his defender there, and you can see that they're chasing and trailing behind him. He's a big man, but he's also got a big work ethic.
I was talking to the former coach yesterday, Dean Laidley, just about Drew Petrie, and he just believes he should be pretty much an elite player in the AFL, can play elite matches, but it's a matter of stringing them together. So hopefully he can in the future for North Melbourne. Unfortunately, that would mean kicking goals like that.
I reckon Drew Petrie would say to Dean Laidley, just let me play in one spot and I'll deliver for you, because it's hard. I mean, he plays the team role, and I can understand why Dean played him in so many different positions to plug the gaps, but very hard to be consistent when you start one week at fullback, the next week at full forward.
Cracker's kicking in has been good. He's taken a risk there, but it's a risk that will come off. Cassisi crumbing and drawing the high tackle to Peter Burgoyne, who kicks to advantage here. Gray running onto it, needed to be clean. Kane Corns has started the half well. Hartlett brought down. Harvey squashing him. Somehow it comes out, and Sean Burgoyne breaks for Port. The front half is open. That is a beautiful delivery. Pearce runs for Ebert, but just can't escape. And it doesn't leave Ebert with too many options. So he exercises an old-fashioned one. And he gets a cruel bounce that in any era would have been very unlucky. Port lead by 14 points.
Love to have seen him back himself a bit more, Tim. It was a couple of years ago, open goal square. Why didn't he just sum that up and drive it home earlier? Forced to in the end, but got a bad bounce.
Gee, a big bomb into the middle. Josh Smith and Chaplin with equal commitment. Thomas, a little in and out. And then back into Smith, who's starting to get the footy. Straight for home, straight for Petrie again from behind. Forced to play the defensive role. That's not bad. The big loping Giraffe. It's not good conditions for Giraffe Ruckman, is it? And Goldstein, they kept it alive. Harvey, beautiful delivery. And again, Josh Smith finding himself in the right place at the right time. And let's have a listen to what his coach thinks about him.
Go out to Josh Smith, right, and say, good kick inside. And also, as you go via Alan Obbs and say, well done, mate. You lowered your vision. Good decision.
There's Alan Obbs, number 40. And here's Josh Smith for his second goal tonight. And his second goal in AFL footy. Big blow required for North to get right back in it. And high fives come. It's a goal. Back to 8 points.
Big solid lad, Josh Smith. Have a look at the Giraffe, as Anthony Hudson called Goldstein, which I'm sure he'll be rapt to hear that when he watches the replay. Kicked 5 the other week. That's a little unfair, I would have thought, on young man in moves okay, but footy came back in, and Josh Smith, another forward option for the Kangaroos. Good finish.
Giraffes, as we know, prefer warmer climates. Todd Goldstein not finding warm weather here tonight in Adelaide.
A bit unfair, Anthony Hudson calling him a giraffe.
Did he move
athletically?
Magnificent play.
Chad Corns leads Josh Smith to the ball this time, having just conceded a goal. His kick, though, is a little strong, and there's Obst, perhaps earning another pat on the back from the coach as he delivers back to Smith, who couldn't quite catch Corns, having broken away from him. He was well covered. Best on ground in last year's VFL Grand Final, kicked 5 goals, so he knows how to kick one. That kick hanging in the wind. So a ball up. 8 points the margin. North hanging around. In fact, they've been well in the contest. Probably should have broken to a 2 or 3 goal lead early, but couldn't convert. And really, lack of goal kickers has been one of their problems this year. Good quick hands from Chad Corns to Chaplin in the Peter Burgoyne direction. He outbodied McMahon, but collected by Garlett. Now Rawlings and Adams. Swallow. Now Adams pumps it to the edge of the goal square. Petrie again the target, drawing the ball, but had the field against him there. Cassisi and Carlisle, but now Harvey. Ferrito with brute strength, but in the end they caught up with him, and he's gone for holding it. An advantage is called.
Chaplin takes that advantage. Dishes for Surgeon. Again, very positive movement forward. Sets a task for all. Grimer, the first to get there, but by no means easy. Did he get a handball clear? The umpire obviously deciding that he did, because he was tackled and dispossessed. Let's go down to Corey with a Update from the Weather Bureau.
Boys, still very cold down here on the boundary. I have got word in the vicinity is hail and lightning, so let's hope it skips Amy Stadium.
Air conditioning still working beautifully up here, Corey.
Thanks, mate.
Gibson takes it away, and here's Adams. Now it's open again for North. Thomas holds off, tries to double back on Cracker. Can't do so. Stewart lends a hand. Surgeon and Cracker got through and kicks to the wing. Fairly haphazard. Ferrito got a handle on it the second go. Maybe lingered a little long. And Gray's able to move through to Boak, who gets in a good position to kick it. He didn't panic, Boak. And Ebert, surely even with a man devoid of his confidence, will be able to drill this one.
Played that really well then, Boak. Travis Boak, he faked on the outside. Yeah, Pearce running his left foot, drew all the defenders towards the boundary line. You can see that Swallow, and it was Rawlings ran the wrong way. That allowed the corridor open. He hit the target to Ebert beautifully.
So Brett Ebert, we talked about him having a disappointing season. 25 goals, 18 coming in. And knocks that one up though. He's second of the night.
There it is again. It's just smart play. What's that say? Both eyes went to the left. All the traffic went to the left. He saw the space inside the corridor. Kick was perfect.
Frustration for the North Melbourne coach. His team getting close, but they just can't quite kick the goal to put themselves right in touch. And again, Port Adelaide extended out to 14 points.
So again, we thank Darren Crocker and the Aspen Group for the access we're having tonight. Could still be interesting if this game tightens up one more time to hear what he has to say.
Surgeon pumps Port Adelaide forward. Well collected by Salter, and he goes for Hartlett, who was within range and could really land a telling blow here. A 20-point lead on a night like this against a team that lacks firepower would really take some pulling back.
Nick Salter hasn't had a lot of possession. That was only number 7, I think, for the game. A couple of them have been really telling, though.
Hamish Hartlett from just inside 50. Starts right, comes back, good kick. Oh, his skills are good. He's kicked 2 lovely goals.
Here's the clearance from Surgeon, but Salter a couple of times is really clean possession. Nice contested mark in the first quarter. And Hartlett, it's exciting for a Port fan to see number 4 draft pick just delivering in round 22 like he is tonight.
He is a very exciting young player, Das, even from the first match we saw him this year.
Yeah, number 4 draft pick. Love his kicking skills tonight. He's just showed in tough conditions that he's an absolute class act.
So game out to 20. North can't dither too long. Rawlings certainly doesn't. We've seen them go inside 50 time and time again. Stewart hassling all the way with Edwards. Sneaking in Adams, Anthony, Gibson. Just couldn't get clear enough to have a proper kick. And again, they're steadfast and a little adventurous with the Davenport handball. Pearce, Rawlings, back for Davenport. Cassisi. Danger hasn't passed. Back over the line and out of bounds.
Interesting bit of headgear that Dominic Cassisi's got on tonight. Started the game with it, so
it's been an ongoing issue for him. McIntosh, Anthony, low ball. Smith made the contest. Davenport, he escorts it back over the line and out of bounds.
It's a bit like Noel Teasdale in the old days, in your dad's day. Luke, another great Victorian player who came over to South Australia, and he'd suffered a fractured skull, and he wore a head guard for a phase of his career.
Well, I think that head guard might have just come into play then for Tom Cassisi. Isn't it funny when you got something sore, it always gets hit. That's a pretty big target, whatever he's got underneath that strapping.
So free kick to Lade. Port crowd getting impatient, wanting him to move it on. Port don't seem to be in any hurry to get it out of defence at the moment. They're trying to draw the North Melbourne side back towards them perhaps a little, as North were pushing back in front of the kick with numbers in the middle of the ground. They still have numbers around the ball here. Ferrito going via the boundary line, using Hamish McIntosh. Nothing for him deep other than perhaps Edwards, who comes with a rush. Adams forced to actually fly. Smith down to Thomas. Had his wits about him. Oh, Gibson showed them a lot of the footy. Got the handball through all right out to Anthony. They've flicked it and around, and eventually it's Thomas. Standing start, tried to eke it goal out of that, but not quite. It's 19, and you just think that they can't be much more than 2 goals down going into the last quarter, Das. You wouldn't think. And here's a big opportunity for Gibson to reduce the margin.
And that'll help. Under these conditions, low-scoring game, as you can see, 55-36. Josh Gibson's played a fair bit more midfield tonight. Looks pretty confident there.
So Gibson, 14 disposals. He's played some games, 2 or 3 games this year, hasn't he? He's in the midfield, sometimes in a row. And that is a lovely kick. And North refused to go away.
Beautiful kick. I've seen a lot of players struggle down that end of the ground tonight. Breeze has been blowing sideways. Certainly affected the kick in. Matty Broadbent just fell over, but Josh Gibson just struck that beautifully. We'll be enjoying round 22, I reckon.
That's a bit soft, isn't it? Is that how to win the respect of your players on a cold night?
You're a braver man than me calling Brad Scott soft, Tim. He looks very cold though, doesn't he?
So a goal to the Kangaroos, kicked by Gibson just to restore some hope. Lower here, squeezing out the hand pass, and Anthony working it forward to Swallow. North playing with some renewed life here. And the kick good to Goldstein, too far out, just popping it over the top. Belted away by Carlisle, but straight back to the man who put it there in the first place. He has another go. But Port have it covered. Kane Corn's been excellent. Pearson, the power bring it away well. Hartlett been a good contributor. Ebert into an open 50. Well played by Thompson. Couldn't escape the second tackle, but did set up a good play for the Kangaroos. Ferrito to Campbell, and now Hansen, and he's placed it well for Anthony. And Swallow, if he can collect and get balanced, a second fumble really cost him. And the Port, Chaplin having a big swing. Couple of calamities back there from Port. Lindsay Thomas, here's Petrie for his 3rd goal, and North are back in it.
It was like anything you can do badly, I can do worse.
What was Troy Chaplin thinking is the question that I want to ask. That is just a cardinal sin. He's had an absolute brain fade there. There's no other way to put it. You can't be doing that in defence, especially when you miss it. Really wanting the final siren to sound on this season. Well, Troy Chaplin, he's just had a meltdown there of sorts. I'm not sure what he was thinking. You've got to pen down, and as a defender, I know it's late in the year, I know they can't make the finals, but he won't be all that proud of that one.
Yes, the old swing and a miss outside off stump. Again, North lifting the intensity. It's back to 7 points Well, just when we thought the game was slipping away, here's Darren Crocker talking about Aaron Edwards.
Tell Aaron Edwards, terrific ground level there.
Kept it brief and to the point. They've all lifted, haven't they, in the last few minutes? They've been able to sort things out a little bit better in their forward line. The inside 50's 35 to 32 in North Melbourne's favour. Goldstein came late. Swallow just starting to find the footy a little bit.
Cassisi hurt himself there. Now he's...
Yeah. Corns, and here's Ferrito. Sense the opening. They're sensing the moment here, North. To centre half forward. They're getting a contest every time out of Smith. Petrie waited back for Rawlings. It's 2 on 2 deep. Harvey's involved, so there's got to be a chance. Edwards can go back to Harvey, or he can go solo. Harvey over the years, so reliable around the sticks. Oh, North are coming strong.
Here's Dom Cassisi, who got a nice kick in the shin on a cold night. It's not what you're after, but a smart play from Edwards. I would have given it to Boomer Harvey in that situation every time. He didn't have much space to work in. Great finish.
It's all gone wrong for Port Adelaide very suddenly. The captain down wounded, went straight to the bench. And his opposite number, the North captain, puts his team within a point from 20 points down only 3 or 4 minutes ago. Stewart getting it over the top to Hartlett, who, as we've seen, is a very good kick of the ball. This one just drifts right, and the lead is 2 points. But North are coming. And a game that looked as though it was getting away from them is suddenly right back and there for the taking if they're good enough. Scott Thompson brings it back.
Plenty of time too, right out to half back. Petrie getting up the ground, so all hands on deck. Boak, Carlisle, Cracker, Surgeon, got numbers from behind and the side to help out. Stewart, Chaplin, here he goes this time. You can hear the response as he kicks the ball and finds Kane Corns. He didn't have many real clear options inside the 50, and so it proves. Scott Thompson is having a stellar night. A real leader back there in defence. Garlett got the handball when he needed to. The little pop-up kick over the top is all right as well for North from lower. And the mark taken by Lindsay Thomas. Half-back presses pause for a moment. Lets the rest of his defensive unit run from behind to try and give him some options on the wing. Although what they are immediately, he's not sure. Edwards presents at least. Surgeon, careful over the ball. Likewise, oh, Lower might be in trouble. He just dived on the footy, and really the umpire, under Darcy's laws, probably should have penalised him there.
Probably got away with one there, Ed Lower. Thought he had more space, and when he was wrapped up, could have been penalised.
Brogan down to Lower. Accepts his fate that time, that they were going to come from every side. And see how much the game can wear the players out, those both on the field and those having a rest. Bit of volleyball action. Boy, Swallow, what a contrast for him tonight. At least he's fought hard in this quarter, Luke, but only 7 disposals. He still managed to lay 4 tackles. But compare that with 33 in a match-winning performance last week.
Just a reminder of how hard it is to be a consistently good player in the competition. You might get away with one week, but the opposition will shut you down the next.
McMahon belting it forward for North. Cracker holding it up. Cassisi's back. Davenport, good collect and a good placement for Surgeon, who had the line there with a remote prospect of being able to collect and bang it forward. Kangaroos trailing by just 2 points, hitting back strongly in this third quarter. Both Port ruckmen there. Brogan doing the work overhead. Peter Burgoyne brought down over it, pulled it out the back. So another throw in. Lade trying to distract McIntosh and give Brogan clear passage. Hanson there as a second man for North. McIntosh climbing in and winning. and then getting it in the Harvey direction. McMahon. It's a real battle now, a scrap at ground level in Brendan Lade's last game. The big man from Kangaroo Island hoping to go out with some sort of bang.
It has to advantage. Lade 9, leading that step by a long way. He's been able to do that so well his whole career.
Port with the clearances, advantage by 5. But Adams and Garlett, that time we were able to get it clear. Unfortunately, the fumble wasn't too timely from Smith.
One thing that annoys me at the moment is that there is a bit of a infatuation over last years. You want to be a ruckman, you've got to be this prototype athlete. You've got to be closer to 7 feet tall than 6 feet tall. Brendan Lade, cast your mind back to him. He's only 6'5", not super athletic, but such a great natural footballer. I think there is room in our game still for players like him who understand the game so well, uses all his skill level, uses all of his nous to advantage. He had a great career. When it looked as though earlier on with 2 broken legs he might have been lost to the game. Well done to him on his final game.
Rain comes down again. Burgoyne, Hartlett, Adams, Obst. Burgoyne, good tackling. Brogan just threw that out the back to Burgoyne. And now Westhoff in fairly unfamiliar territory up on the wing. They've really cleared out the forward line, and Ebert was able to ride the bump. He's a very sturdy customer, and he's got a little bit behind him there as he tried to kick to his own advantage. They worked the numbers though, North Melbourne. Well played. McMahon and Thompson will be disappointed with the kick. Well, Grimer perhaps could have done more to keep it in. Let's have a listen to what the coach thinks of Michael Ferrito.
Can you get a message out to Spud that he can go do some third ups? All right. Yeah.
Let's see if he does that. He doesn't on that occasion. Maybe the message hasn't got through yet. Clearing kick marked by Chaplin, who again gets the raspberry. Corns, it might just go on, but into the breeze, it's going to hold up. Oh, acrobatic stuff. Thompson leaves left in a big heap, and it just gave a chance for Port Adelaide for a moment, and the moment still exists. Cassisi couldn't get it through to Pearce, and eventually the North Melbourne defence prevail and take it over the line and out of bounds. Dangerous stuff here, though, for the North defence.
I think that hail and lightning not too far away down there, Corey. Sideways rain coming in at the moment.
Yeah, boys, it's starting to get cold, that's for sure, and blowy, and the rain is coming.
Greenwood only able to run it over. So it's become an old-fashioned battle now. Late in the third quarter, low scoring, manufacturing goals. Very important at this stage. Ooh, heavy collision there. North's defence. Oh, steal away by Thomas. Just couldn't get it on the right side of the post. Literally, it trickled to the left for a behind. And the margin is 3 points.
It's an exciting behind, wasn't it? And that's not a very exciting kick out on the full from Scott McMahon. And Kane Collins, who's the leading disposal winner on the ground, coming up for number 26. Westhoff was able to sneak away. Now he's in this very tough pocket.
Another quiet night so far for Justin Westhoff. Disposal number 5. Someone that really, I think, needs a big pre-season and a really big year next year.
So Westhoff just feels obligated to set it up to the top of the square. Oh, a bit of a miss from Smith. Garlett with Big Dean Brogan just behind him. He's able to sneak over the boundary line and out of bounds. So the margin is 3 here. Round 22 action, Saturday night footy. Maybe not the prettiest game we've ever seen, but it's certainly tight. Goldstein, 2 sides really scrapping it out. Their last quarter and a bit for 2009. Rawlings and Gibson just move it on. Here's the mantra to the wing. Thomas and Big Smith were ready for the pickings.
Ball's up, mate. Tell him there's only 2 minutes to go. Push him up.
Not wanting to concede goals late in the piece. North having fought so hard to get themselves back almost onto level terms. Maybe they can build a worthwhile attack. McMahon out the back. Rawlings lobbing a high ball. Petrie almost snaring it. Lindsay Thomas arriving. Kicking to some space. Coming up the ground was Swallow, but it's covered by Chaplin to Cracker to Kane Corns. Harvey careful not to give away a free. And the wind just about did Corns in. Surgeon to Cracker. Been cool, confident and precise in his moves, Cracker. He's played well, although that's not his best kick of the evening, as he's lobbed that straight to McMahon. And if it wasn't him, it was going to be one of a couple of other Kangaroos. So it's North's ball in the last 100 seconds of the quarter, and with a chance to try and build up to kick a goal and hit the front.
Every time Chaplin goes near the ball, the crowd start to give him a little bit of grief for that early swing and a miss.
Haven't missed him tonight, have they? Smallish type of crowd tonight, but they've been reasonably animated.
Gibson for Liam Anthony, another prolific night for him. His 18th disposal coming up. He leads the North averages with 25 per game.
I don't know Darren Crocker very well, Hutto and Tim, but he seems to be an incredibly popular figure at the North Melbourne Footy Club. It's his last game. Looking forward to hearing him at three-quarter time, and I'm sure this playing group would love to send him off with a win.
Yeah, it's a good point. Played with plenty of spirit last week, that's for sure. He's going to lob on the wing. Edwards takes the aerial route. Outstanding mark. We know he's so...
He's got Petrie in a one-on-one down the ground. He'd be tempted to form his end. Here he is. He's on his own. Just get it to him, Andrew Swallow.
30 seconds. Really, the moment might have been missed for North because they're staying out reasonably well. But surely he's got to do something. He just kicks it along in the end. They're all exhausted after making their leads. Thomas, the only small man in the area. And it's going to be a ball up.
Just don't understand that. I think if you look up, see a player in a one-on-one situation as a forward, doesn't matter what time of the game it is yet, just give them the opportunity. Slow it down, numbers get back and can't score.
And that's the way it's going to be. So we're going to head to the last change with the margin just 3 points. 8-9-57 Port Adelaide, 8-6-54 North Melbourne. Quick thought from you, Das, on who might prevail here.
I think North Melbourne are a chance. I really think what I mentioned before with the final game for Darren Crocker, I think they've got a huge amount to play for. It'd be a great result for them if they could get up in their final game. For him as an interim coach, such a popular figure, and we're going to hear from him at three-quarter time.
We are shortly, but we'll take a break. Don't forget the final series, which is coming up, and what a final series it's going to be.
Time. The three main things we need to address. Much better. We started to take the game on. We started to play best option footy again. No, we weren't pinned to the boundary line. We actually started to use targets to hit blokes up, and you could see everyone working for one another. Everyone was working for the kickers. Right, that's what we've got to do. We've got to keep going. We've got 30 minutes to work for one another, to work for the kicker, to pressure. The pressing in was much better. Right, the tackles forward to the centre. Right, and we got our hands on the footy. Right, 30 minutes. Right, to go again.
So last quarter about to begin at AAMI Stadium. It's tight here. It's tight in Sydney as McIntosh gives Harvey and then Swallow the opportunity to take it forward. Boak applies the tackle as we get into the last quarter proper. So Das, you think North can do it?
Yeah, I do. I really think they've got an opportunity to pay some respect to a very favourite and popular North Melbourne person, Darren Crocker.
Travis Boak lobs it forward for Port Adelaide. Ebert controlled by Scott Thompson. Obst trying to get it to Greenwood, but tigerish contest. And I'd imagine in the Port Adelaide huddle at three-quarter time, it might have been quite emotional with Brendan Lade and Peter Burgoyne, who, apart from Warren Treadray, have played more games than any others in the history of the Port Adelaide AFL club, are about to embark on their last quarter. Wouldn't have gone uncommented upon, I'm sure. Greenwood swings it for North. Wide, high, too wide. Free kick to Port, with both teams looking to grab control of it early in the last. Boat to take the ball, been a good contributor. That's his 17th use of the footy, and Chad Corns is about to have his 22nd.
And he's searching for an option, but plucking it out of the air with Great style was big Hamish McIntosh, who hasn't had a big night tonight in terms of possessions, and he's had an outstanding season. Only 5, now 6 disposals. Can they get it beyond the wing? No, Chaplin is the roadblock this time. Be interesting to see how many goals win the game in this last quarter, Das.
Yeah, as we know, it's been low scoring, only 8 goals for both sides, so I don't think it's going to take too many. 2 or 3 probably get you over the line. Heaps of rain, huge amount of wind, not easy conditions out there. It's the final game of the year, and you're telling yourself as a player, I've only got 30 more minutes and I've got a whole summer to get over it.
Garlett's been pretty good again tonight for North. Here's Boak, still industrious. Corns went to ground, slapped it out. Play on. Anthony sneaks in. Gibson, they were ready to pounce North. Not clean though, as you can see. And Sean Burgoyne and Gray. Pretty good at sniffing out a chance around goal, but he's missed a lot.
How many times have we seen the ball go out of bounds on the 4 in that pocket? Up to about 7, I reckon.
So the goal was absolutely unguarded. Thompson goes for territory here for the Kangaroos, and they get a result as it spills. Swallow to Gibson, and now Campbell, and this looks promising for North, so much so that the wet weather notwithstanding, he has a bounce and he sets it up well for his mate Thomas, who just couldn't hang on to the mark, and Surgeon emerges for Port. And he has a man, Davenport, loose, and he could go for a bit of a run. He tries the old touchdown rather than the ambitious bounce. The kick, little dangerous. Laiddow and Kasisi, couple of staunch allies. Long ball, good effort in the air by McMahon. There'll be a ball up. Both teams throwing everything at each other, and in a match that is inconsequential to their season outcomes, these two teams are really playing it to the last, and it's making for an entertaining game, if not a game of the best skills in what are difficult conditions.
Lade went down off the ball. Hanson was making sure he didn't come up as the third jumper, and he went down off the ball. He's in a bit of a bad way, Lade, taking a long time to get up. There he is. Got one in the ear, I think. Meantime, North have taken it forward, and they have an opportunity here to take the lead. Brendan Lane is not a happy man, but Gibson is marked within 60 of goal, and he's got lower on the outer side. I wonder if he's in his sights or not. Drifting down, he's probably not. Gibson into the pocket. Not great percentages for them there when you think about it. And Crackers is going to ease the squeezes for Port Adelaide with a very luxurious bounce, and then there's absolutely nowhere to go. So retraces the steps as they try and sort things out across the last line. Broadbent, hasn't he been good? Oh. He's had his moments along the way. McIntosh, so they can fix any more up. Anthony stretching the handball. Gibson could have gone to the left. He went to the right. Greenwood with the run up. The momentum, but not the accuracy required. It's down to 2 now.
Brendan Lade saying, 25 minutes to go in my career, and I've just got the nice whack across the ear.
Well, it looked as though he was being checked for structural damage, and we just hope there is none. Wouldn't it be a cruel way for it all to end? Port Adelaide leading by a hair's breadth. North haven't led since late in the first quarter. Greater Kasisi, just a little delicate with the kick though, and McMahon mops it up to Anthony. It's attack and counter-attack. Gibson, here's the danger man, the boomer. Harvey reaches 50, goes for broke, and puts his team in front.
What a great finish. Sideways rain coming down. We've seen players try and attempt goals from a similar position. They just haven't had the ability to be able to pull it off, and Harvey just hung it out to the right hand side, allowed it to drift back. Sensational goal.
Let's have a look at the lead. There's Hansen, and he just...
Bit of friendly fire.
Yeah.
I think Brogan got him on the way through, or maybe it was McIntosh. Yeah, nothing.
He wouldn't have been aware of him, McIntosh.
No, nothing untoward there.
It's pelting down out there. We'll get down to Corey in a moment, just pretty much to make fun of him, but we're watching a very tight contest now. Interested from Corey, the conditions are helping one end or the other. You wouldn't think so at the moment.
It's one end or the other.
That's a good mark.
That is the heaviest rain I've ever seen. Have a look at it.
You've had a very sheltered life. Mind you, it is absolutely pelting down. Here's Gray. Kicks it straight up into the weather. Is it ever coming down? Carlisle takes the mark. Low ball, cleanly inside the 50. I think someone's marked and I can't see him. It might be Burgoyne. He's got the shot for goal. Corey, are you still with us, mate?
Boys, this is unbelievable. It's blowing straight in the dugout where I'm sitting as well. And Das is right. It's the heaviest rain I've ever seen. Don't make fun of him, Hutto.
He's ever seen.
We've had a word from our producer, Corey. He said, don't leave your post.
Peter Burgoyne in the toughest conditions you could possibly imagine in his last game of footy. And unfortunately, they proved too tough. And the margin is back to 3 points.
Where have you seen heavier rain than that, Hutto, in all your travels and experience? And
well, Launceston earlier in the year for one, when North Melbourne played Hawthorn.
That is torrential out there.
Yeah, well, that was double torrential there.
There were some days at Waverley, a.k.a. Pleurisy Park over the years, but this isn't bad. Thompson, long, wide ball, and again it's out on the full.
Doesn't it rain like that in Hawthorn, Gus?
Not recently. Last 5 years.
Leafy eastern suburbs does. Stewart bombs it back into the 50 for Port, who have given up the lead after holding it for a long, long time. Now, a couple of blasts of the whistle in there. There's a free kick and it'll go North's way. Gryman to take it. Tasmanian. He'll be at home in this. Is that 15? It doesn't matter because Lindsay Thomas muffed it. Boak, been good. Everyone's got the fumbles though. Gray around the corner, wobbling, bobbling, and forced through.
Handy
North
point.
by 2.
McMahon. How do you go about kicking in here? Do you just go as long as you can, Das?
Go the old barrel. Last game, kick it as far as you can.
Just as good.
Probably more likely to get it straight.
With the handball, put the onus on Thompson to deliver, and he did too. Patch Adams takes the mark. And then Opstall, did he mark it? He did. I think the crowd had a bit of in the umpire, and they perhaps thought he didn't. But anyway, he's hung that one up a long time, and really didn't give Rawlings much of a chance.
It amuses me how players just don't adjust to the conditions. There's no point kicking 10-metre pinpoint passes. Last game of the year, belting with rain. You just kick it as far as you can down the line.
And it's officially the heaviest rain in 40 years, apparently, as Goldstein kicks the ball forward. Harvey, but it's Corns. He knows what to do. There's a barrel. Roll out the barrels, boys. Right up to the top of the 50. And the North Melbourne defence refusing to yield. Hansen. Rawlings, high ball, Lades had the fix-up job, and he's back out there again. Chaplin got the body behind it, made sure it got out to the wing. Oh, there's free kick. Bit of hanging on with Cracker.
This was just overplayed by Smith. He got rid of him, but he finished the job.
Bold handball from Cracker, forward to Chaplin. It was a cunning plan from Nathan Cracker, and he kicks well at the top of the square, almost. Fingernails in it. It's deep, and it's still in dangerous territory. And here's Cracker again, the man that started it all. Got it to Davenport, the elusive Gray, back to Davenport. And away to the right. Let's have a listen to what the coach thinks about these conditions.
Mate, you know what? Get out to all the backs and say we are back to wet weather footy. No finessing. Right, long down the line. Numbers over.
It is that sort of game now, and there's a point in it. It all hangs on the line. North actually looking to avoid their worst season in terms of games won since Barry Cable was their coach in 1984. Here's Ferrito putting them forward of the centre line. Important contest, and North win it. Campbell onto Goldstein, and now Harvey, who kicked the goal to put them in front, doesn't try to do it here. In fact, he'd like to have it back. He gets it back, and he almost got a high tackle. North dangerous here. Lower out to the big giraffe in unfamiliar, unfriendly conditions. He scores it behind. North by 2 points. Over to you, Hutto.
Well, it could be the points, or maybe it'll be whoever kicks the goal wins from here. Still a long journey ahead, time-wise. Both sides moving the ball pretty well, given the terrain that they've got to work through. As Westhoff, his best effort there of the match, got it to half forward. You can sense they're digging deep for one last crack. Grimer back to half forward. Thomas refuses to yield. Handball up, misses Stewart, but gets Kane Corns. Anthony in the road. Time on his side. To the outer side. And there it is Edwards, who runs around the ball just to make sure he makes no mistake. Unfortunately, no such luck with the kick. Stewart, bit rushed. Surgeon, Burgoyne has a look around, decides off the floor's the way to go. Perhaps picking it up might have been a better option, as Obst goes back and uses Thompson as they get ready to reset, reboot and go again with Gibson.
Been very good tonight, Gibson. Oh, well played by Chad Corns. Got a very important hand in there with Josh Smith looking dangerous. The crowd tonight, 17,284, the lowest for an AFL game at Amy Stadium since Adelaide came into the competition in 1991. But we're talking it up, Hutto, so we'll say they're a bunch of very hardy souls who have come along here tonight, and indeed they are. Here's Boak, got rid of one tackle, not the second, but he did well to Thomas, who read it nicely, gives to Davenport, cuts the distance and misses, and would love to have that kick again. Still North Melbourne lead by 1 point.
Haven't worked out that end of the ground. Kick it as far left as you can, because they've all gone right tonight to the right-hand side. So clearly some breeze blowing that side of the ground. So
Kick in.
Two chances gone begging for Davenport. Thompson to himself again, just to get that extra metre or two. It's back in dispute. Cassisi, a fine leader. But Josh Smith's been a bit of a revelation at times tonight. Gibson in and out. Thomas. And the coach knows how important he is. We'll hear why in a moment. Back to Gibson. Thomas wants it again. Gibson says no. Gibson knows that he can almost go the journey. Top of the goal square stuff. Petrie, oh, he was a hero last week. And again, he imposes himself with this wonderful mark in driving rain. What about this for a grab under the circumstances from Drew Petrie?
he's a great player, Drew Petrie. He just gives his heart and soul, senses a big moment in a game, and he generally delivers at the right time. That was a massive, massive effort.
3 goals last week. 3 goals so far tonight, I should say. He was able to kick the important goal last week, but he's not able to do it here. And it's back to 2 points the difference, as we now have a look and a listen to Darren Crocker talking about Lindsay Thomas.
Lindsay, mate, I'm going to get you on for Aaron. We're going to go a bit smaller because of the rain, but you've got to work up and back. So when they get the ball, you come up and block up the corridor. But then when we get the ball, I want you deep. Okay?
Especially interesting to hear the direct contact between coach and player when the player is on the interchange bench and takes the phone call. This is Obst for North Melbourne. Petrie having squandered a great opportunity to give North a real grip on this. In goes Lower, whose twin brother plays for Port Adelaide. Lindsay Thomas hurled to the ground there. Matt Thomas sweeps it away to Boak. Been very good all night. Never more so than in this last quarter. Ebert led his man past it. Grimer goes with him stride for stride. Rawlings there as well, but so's Pearce, finessing it out. Who can get to this first? It's going to be Obst overrunning it, but kept his feet and was brought down illegally by Westhoff. Clear trip. North Melbourne free kick. Westhoff the offender. And there it is, no doubt. North's ball, they lead by 2 points.
Garlett heads to the outer side. And the mark is taken by McMahon. 2 points the difference. Still 6 and some change left to go. Right out to the wing to Swallow. Takes no chances, takes the chest mark. Hasn't been his night, but all that's to be forgotten now. It can be anyone's night over the last 7 minutes of the season.
And it is true that one swallow doesn't make a summer.
No sign of any of that tonight. I mean, it's certainly not in summer. We're not even in spring at this stage. Darren Crocker, his last moments of the season and his last moments as a senior coach, maybe forever, who knows, at AFL level. Lade and Goldstein. Lade in his last match.
Oh, well done.
Down cleanly. Just couldn't get away, Gray. Just held for too long.
If you had to try and encapsulate what Brendan Lade has brought to the game, that was exactly what I would show. Boundaries thrown, used his body, beautiful hit out to advantage. Sets up his team time and time again. Fairly to play for here. Lade and Burgoyne retiring and Darren Crocker's last game.
Westhoff takes the mark. He goes for the pass. There was poor jumpers coming at him. Pearce, Sean Burgoyne, neither could take it. Gray built his own wall and sets it up. Cracker, but no. The mark is taken and taken well by Hansen. And how would you like to be in the boots there of Scott Thompson, but he has been more than up to it. Really tested the middle there. The kick along the line from Rawlings. Thomas flies. Everyone's super committed. Lower. North gets it away again. Rawlings. Gibson. Kangaroos running on top of the ground for the moment, but then Swallow slipped and the footy went through his fingers and the opportunity was lost. And we're going to have another ball up. 5.5 minutes for all these players for the rest of the season.
It's just over possessing the footy in unbelievably wet and slippery conditions. You just have to play the basics and kick it.
Oh, what a bad mistake there by Broadbent as he just opened the door for the Kangaroos. As though he mistook a North player for a Port one. He has a chance to atone. There's a throw. It's a free kick to Port Adelaide. They get off the hook. Hartlett takes it, but the kick hasn't got the carry. Bad miss, though, by Goldstein. North with the numbers. Playing like a team that is not going to let this go. Smith, though, falling over at the crucial time. Gray says to his skipper, get out of my way. Gives to Chaplin. Back to Gray. Great effort by Robbie Gray. Took them all on and then bangs it forward. Gives them hope. Peter Burgoyne in his last game. Rawlings, though, did it well. Burgoyne stayed on his feet and can give Port something here. He's put it in the right spot to Ebert. And Ebert is 30 out straight in front.
That was Peter Burgoyne. That is absolute brilliant best. This is what he has been able to do. Pick up a slippery ball. Went to go on his right. He said, no, that's good enough. No one else has been able to kick in these conditions like that. And he pulls out a great moment just to remind us what a star he's been.
So Brett Ebert with the lead on his boot in the last 5 minutes. He knows how to kick a goal and he executes perfectly. Port back in front.
To see all of Peter Burgoyne's teammates, they came from everywhere after this. That was just so good. Have a look at the dummy. And then this kick, the wet ball, that is just incredible skill.
And he wasn't going to be able to put it into the right spot with his right boot, which I reckon is why he changed, and he just did it beautifully.
So a goal each in this last quarter. Maybe one more goal required to win. Or maybe the 4 points will be enough. Peter Burgoyne giving us something to remember him by. But the Kangaroos will come again. You just know they will. Greenwood. Off the ground again for Rito. Hacking it forward. Chaplin. Keeping it in. Great desperation from Edwards this time. Oh, Thomas, no awareness at all. Holding the ball. Outstanding tackling from Campbell. The numbers get back. Campbell sets it up for his little running mate, Thomas. Neither can take it. And the third in the chain, Garlett. Clear. McIntosh. Garlett goes again. Here was the proverbial meat in the sandwich. It's still bobbling around. Boak overruns it. Who wants it the most? Port did. But a little fumble at the crucial stage from Salter. Goldstein keeps it up. Anthony didn't panic. Hansen too far out to score. Petrie calls for it. Will he go to the reliable man? He does. He just can't take the mark under stress. Boomer Harvey lost his footing, regained his footing, and the champ misses. He misses.
He'd be so upset with that, Boomer Harvey. Look at the ability to get up off the ground, got around a couple of the defenders. It was such brilliant play. You can just see he would love to have kicked that for Darren Crocker. Still time.
Anguish. Sometimes the spontaneous snap is the safer kick. Well played, Greenwood, putting it close to goal. It's certainly in scoring territory.
Sure. Huge number of players now around this contest. There, I think, of the families of Brendan Lade and also Peter Burgoyne in their final game. But have a look at the numbers around this contest. It's going to be hard to score.
You don't want either team to lose this one. McIntosh and Brogan. Gibson in there. Shoulder to the wheel as it's been all night. North still a chance. Banged out by Kane Corns, but straight to McMahon. 50! Dear. Against Cracker. And that becomes a certain goal. That is a very controversial decision. But there was a little shove, and McMahon made the most of it. And I guess the umpire has no choice. I don't think we can condemn the umpire. McMahon restores the lead for North Melbourne. Kangas by 3 points.
Controversial. We had so many players around the contest. It was almost going to be impossible to score in the conditions. Quick kick gets spooned out, and you're right, I think technically that is there, but it is a massive penalty, isn't it, when you've had a low-scoring game.
Oh, how heartbreaking for Cracker. Every man out there wants to win it, but the Port players with these two great club champions playing their last game, and to think you might have made the mistake that actually gave it back to the opposition is heart-wrenching.
Darren Crocker's just pulled everyone back into defence. I've got heaps behind the footy now, North Melbourne, trying to block it up.
But it's Port that go forward. Hard one to handle. Corns goes very wide. They probably wouldn't have liked that. Hasn't Gray played a brilliant last quarter? He got them going out of the middle again there, Robbie Gray. He's one they've got to watch.
Set up for a Lade to Sean Burgoyne special out of this. Unfortunately, it's broken in the ruck, so it's not going to happen.
Ruins that. Gray's had 12 disposals. Moving at the front of the pack was Boak. Brogan applied the tackle. Liam Anthony didn't panic. Ferrito safely to Gibson, off balance. But McIntosh moves us to Campbell. No one ahead. Had to wait. Handball to Petrie. Just goes for Broke. Long kick. Willing it forward for North Melbourne. It won't roll. Surgeon did well. He had Carlisle there. And Adapani Carlisle. He's misfired the kick. Made it tough for Davenport. Surely that's a free kick to North. And they'll be in no hurry from there.
Smart play from Petrie. Just summed it up well. They were mucking around with the handball in the corridor. Had a Kane unstuck. It was a certain turnover, so they just pumped it inside 50.
Not long left for North Melbourne, and Harvey is just about within range. The man on the mark's got to come back a couple of metres. The umpire telling Kane Corns just back a little. Could he do it from there with a wet ball on fourth quarter legs? No, he doesn't think he can, and he's happy to soak up some time and give it to Lower, who's a bit closer and who could drive the final stake through the opponent's heart. It's no gimme, pretty much directly in front, within range, got the wind sorted. A goal, and it's North's game in Darren Crocker's last as coach. Lower, twin brother, plays for Port Adelaide. From about 47, big hook. Port, I reckon, have got one last shot. No, they haven't. It's all over. The Kangaroos have won their last game of 2009 by 4 points. It's heartbreak for Port Adelaide, Brendan Lade and Peter Burgoyne.
And sing it one and all. Join in the chorus. North Melbourne's on the ball. Good old North Melbourne, they're champions, you'll agree. North Melbourne is the team that plays to win for you and me.
Plenty of emotion and respect for Peter Burgoyne from Lindsay Thomas. Just didn't quite end up the way he was hoping. He did set up a crucial goal late. The umpires get a few raspberries from the crowd as they come off, but we showed the 50-metre penalty enough to say that it really was there. There's Darren Crocker. We've heard from him all night. Drew Petrie is down with our man Corey Wingard.
Yeah, I got Drew with me, mate. 3 goals. That was a thrilling finish, that contest.
3 goals, but nearly cost us, but the effort of the boys in the last 10 weeks under Croc's been fantastic, and it's good that we're getting some reward at a bit late in the year, to win games, but we'll take a lot in the next year.
Peter Burgoyne kicked that goal late, or set that goal up late, and it looked like Port had the momentum with their 2 guys retiring, and then Boomer missed that one. What was going through your mind in the last 2 minutes?
We should have won. Maybe we should have won by a couple. Nearly lost by a couple. So, Brendan Lade and Peter Burgoyne have been fantastic competitors over the years, and we knew Port Adelaide were going to have a crack tonight.
You mentioned Darren Crocker too. It's a great way for him to go out.
A great way, yeah. We're a bit stiff not to win more games than we have this year under Croc, and he spoke about passion, and I think the group's got a bit more passion now, and we'll take it into next year.
Well done, mate. Good luck next year.
Thanks, Corey.
He's an impressive man, Drew Petrie, isn't he? I really like the way he speaks, and he paid respect to the 2 boys from Port Adelaide.
There's Nathan Cracker. He is distraught. He knows that fateful moment in which he gave up a 50-metre penalty has cost his team and cost 2 mates who no doubt he loves, respects and looks up to.
And a few going to Nathan Cracker now just to pat him on the back. He's had a pretty good year, certainly had a pretty good finish to the year. Nathan Cracker has developed, but there's Brendan Lade and Peter Burgoyne. They've got the attention, and Brendan's actually, there's a lineup for him, but the boys are heading to the outer side to pay their respects. I don't know how long the Kangaroos are going to stay lined up, but all the crowd watching, as you can see there, gives you some perspective as they're heading out to the middle of the ground, I think to the outer side, to pay their own respects to the support they've had from the crowd here over the years, through almost 240 games for each of them.
Lots of champions retire, and there are always emotional moments, but these 2 men have been here since this football club started, from day one, and they've been there for its only premiership. Peter Burgoyne went very close to winning the Norm Smith medal on that great day in 2004. They have been absolute stalwarts for the Port Adelaide AFL club.
Fantastic the way both clubs pay respect. Now the North boys going to start there, pay their respects to Peter Burgoyne and Brendan Lade. Have both been fantastic players. Brendan Lade, I think, a bit of a unique player in the game, Tim. I really enjoyed playing against him. He's an old-fashioned sort of bloke, an old-fashioned sort of footballer, and really has got a lot to offer the game. I think he understands it almost as well as anyone else. And Peter Burgoyne, our Indigenous players, are just freaks of the game. You can see how much it means to him. It's so emotional never to play another game of AFL footy. He's right up there with the best to play for Port Adelaide.
And North Melbourne showing a lot of class here by waiting, because it's quite a wait as they did their mini lap of honour. But the Kangas lining up to pay their own respects to Brendan Lade and Peter Burgoyne.
And from either end of this vast brown land, Peter Burgoyne came from the Northern Territory and Brendan Lade, of course, from Kangaroo Island. So they represent the poles of the country in a sense. Both came to the same football club and both end on the same night.